Nathan Pierce stood near the refreshment table at the annual literacy charity event, feeling utterly out of place among the books and poetry readings. His assistant had insisted he attend for good publicity, but Nathan would rather be anywhere else. He reached for a cup of coffee just as another hand touched the same cup. "Oh, I'm sorry," a soft voice said. Nathan looked up and forgot how to form words. The woman before him had warm brown eyes that seemed to hold entire universes. Her smile was genuine, not the practiced social smile he encountered at every business function. "Please take it," Nathan managed. "I can get another one. I could share it," she suggested, with a laugh that made something in his chest tighten. "I'm Claire Morrison. I teach 3rd grade at Riverside Elementary." Nathan Pierce. He shook her hand, noting how perfectly it fit in his. "I run a tech investment company," which sounds incredibly boring compared to teaching children. Claire's eyes lit up. "Teaching is never boring. Every day brings something new. Yesterday, one of my students wrote a story about a dragon who was afraid of fire. It was the most creative thing I've read in months. They talked for 3 hours, long after the event ended. They sat on a bench outside while the city moved around them." Nathan learned that Claire loved old movies, rainy Sundays, and the smell of old books. She cried during animal rescue commercials and laughed at terrible jokes. She had dreams of opening a free reading program for underprivileged children. Nathan found himself sharing things he never told anyone. About the pressure of running a company his father built, about feeling alone despite being surrounded by people constantly, about wondering if anyone would care about him if he lost everything tomorrow. "I would still want to know you," Claire said simply, "even if you had nothing." Those words changed everything for Nathan. The growing connection. They met the next day for coffee, and the day after that, for lunch. Within 2 weeks, Nathan understood that Claire had become essential to his existence. She made him laugh. She challenged his opinions. She saw him as Nathan, not as Nathan Pierce the millionaire. One evening, Nathan took Claire to the rooftop garden of his building. He had spent hours setting up candles, blankets, and a picnic he prepared himself, despite burning the pasta twice. The city sparkled below them like scattered jewels. "This is beautiful," Claire whispered, her eyes reflecting the candlelight. "I want to do beautiful things for you every day," Nathan said, taking her hands. "I want to show you how extraordinary you are." They danced without music, just the sound of their heartbeats and the distant city noise. Nathan held her close and understood what people meant about finding home in another person. 3 months after their first meeting, Nathan woke up with absolute certainty. He watched Claire sleeping beside him, moonlight painting her face silver, and knew he wanted to marry her. Not someday. Now the next morning, he took her to the botanical gardens, where they had their first real date. Rain fell softly around them, making everything feel fresh and magical. Nathan knelt on the wet grass, pulled out the ring he had been carrying for a week, and said, "Claire, I don't want to spend another moment of my life without you as my wife. Will you marry me?" She cried and laughed and said yes. Nathan stood and kissed her while rain mixed with her happy tears. The mother's cold heart, they told Victoria Pierce the next day. Nathan's mother sat in her formal drawing room, her posture rigid, her expression carefully neutral as she listened to their announcement. "How lovely," Victoria said in a voice that could freeze water. "And when exactly did you meet this girl?" 3 months ago, Nathan replied, holding Claire's hand firmly. "But I know she's the one." 3 months. Victoria's eyes swept over Claire with barely concealed contempt. "How impulsive of you. It's not impulsive when it's right," Nathan said. Victoria smiled without warmth. "Of course, dear. I'm sure you know what you're doing." But Nathan saw the calculation in his mother's eyes. He saw the disapproval she tried to hide. He told himself it would pass. The wedding was small and intimate, disappointing Victoria's vision of what a Pierce family wedding should be. But Claire looked radiant in her simple white dress. When Nathan said his vows, his voice shook with emotion. "I promise to love you through everything for as long as I breathe," he said. "You are my home, Claire. You will always be my home." The reception was tense. Victoria moved through the crowd with icy courtesy, introducing Claire to family friends with thinly veiled disdain. Nathan heard her describe Claire as sweet in a tone that made it sound like an insult. But when they escaped to their suite that night, none of it mattered. Nathan held his wife and felt complete. "Are you happy?" Claire whispered. "I have never been happier," Nathan answered truthfully. "You are everything." The honeymoon dream for their honeymoon, Nathan planned a trip to New Zealand. He rented a private lodge in the mountains with views that stretched forever. He wanted to take Claire somewhere as beautiful as she was. The night before they left, they lay in bed together, Claire's head on Nathan's chest. "Promise me something," Claire said softly. "Anything. Promise that no matter what happens, you'll remember this feeling. Remember how much we love each other right now." "I could never forget. This feeling is written into my soul, Claire. You are written into my soul." She held him tighter, and Nathan felt her heartbeat against his ribs. They arrived in New Zealand to paradise. Mountains rose around their lodge like ancient guardians. The air was clean and crisp. For 3 days they explored, hiked, made love, and talked about their future. About children they would have. About the life they would build together. Victoria had arranged for a driver named Thomas to be available during their stay. The man was efficient, but something about him made Nathan uncomfortable. The way he watched Claire when he thought no one noticed. The way he appeared without making sound. But Nathan dismissed his unease. Thomas had worked for the family for years. The phone call that changed everything on the 4th day, Nathan's phone rang. His mother's name appeared on the screen. She had promised not to call unless there was an emergency. Then, Victoria's voice was weak, labored. "You need to come home immediately." Every muscle in Nathan's body went rigid. "What's wrong?" "It's my heart. I'm at the hospital. The doctors say it's serious. They say I might not make it. Please, Nathan, I need you." Nathan's world tilted. "I'm coming. I'm getting on the next flight." "Hurry," Victoria whispered, and the line went dead. Nathan stood frozen, phone still pressed to his ear. His mother was dying, Nathan. Claire appeared, her hair damp from the shower. "What's wrong?" "It's my mother. Her heart. She's in the hospital. She might be dying." Claire crossed the room immediately. "Okay, we'll pack right now." "We'll get to the airport," Nathan said. "Not we, just me." "What?" "Nathan, I'm not letting you go through this alone. I need you to stay here. The flights are complicated. I can leave sooner alone. There's no point in both of us cutting the honeymoon short." "Your mother's in the hospital," Claire said firmly. "I should be with you." "Please, Claire. Stay here. Enjoy the lodge. Thomas will take care of anything you need. I'll call you constantly." Could feel Claire's reluctance, but she loved him. She understood. "'Kay," she said finally, "but call me every hour. And Nathan, I hope she's all right." Nathan kissed her deeply, desperately. "I love you more than anything in this world." "I love you too. Now go." Nathan threw clothes into a bag and called Thomas to drive him to the airport. At the door, he turned back. Claire stood in the center of the room, looking suddenly small and alone. "I'll be back in a few days," he promised. "And then nothing will interrupt us again." "Go," Claire said, smiling through tears. "Your mother needs you." Nathan walked out and climbed into the waiting car. He watched the lodge disappear behind him, watched Claire standing in the doorway, growing smaller and smaller until she vanished completely. He had no idea he would spend the next 10 years searching for her. No idea that his mother's lie would destroy everything. No idea that this moment was the last time he would see his wife smile for a decade. Nathan's plane touched down after the longest flight of his life. He ran through the airport, took a taxi straight to the hospital, his heart hammering with fear and dread. He burst through the hospital doors and found the information desk. "Evelyn Pierce," he said breathlessly. "She was admitted for a heart attack." "What room is she in?" The receptionist looked confused. She checked her computer twice. "I'm sorry, sir, but we have no record of any patient by that name." Nathan's world stopped spinning. "That's impossible. She called me herself. She said she was dying." "Check again." The receptionist checked 3 more times. "No, Victoria Pierce. No admission in the past week. No emergency room visit. Nothing." Nathan stood in the middle of the hospital lobby, his mind refusing to accept what this meant. Then his phone rang. His mother's number. Nathan, darling, where are you? Victoria's voice was strong, clear, perfectly healthy. Mother, what is happening? You said you were dying? Dying? What on earth are you talking about? I'm at home hosting a dinner party. You should come. I've invited the Harrisons and the Kents. Nathan felt something crack inside his chest. You said your heart. You said you were in the hospital? I have no idea what you mean, dear. I simply wanted you home. You've been gone far too long with that girl. It's time you remembered your responsibilities. The phone slipped from Nathan's hand and clattered to the floor. His mother had lied. She had faked a medical emergency. She had manipulated him into abandoning Claire on their honeymoon. She had done it deliberately, knowing exactly what pain it would cause. Nathan picked up his phone with shaking hands and tried to call Claire. It rang and went to voicemail. He tried again and again. Each time, just her voice saying she could not come to the phone right now. Terror, cold and absolute, flooded his veins. He called Thomas. The driver answered immediately. Mr. Pierce, I've been trying to reach you. Where is Claire? I don't know, sir. She left this morning. Said she wanted to drive herself to see the waterfalls one last time before you returned. But that was hours ago. She hasn't come back. I've been searching everywhere, Mr. Pierce. I'm very worried. Nathan was already running back to the terminal, already booking another flight, already cursing himself for every choice that had led to this moment, the search that broke. Imnathon arrived back in New Zealand 30 hours after he left. 30 hours of pure terror. 30 hours of unanswered calls. 30 hours of knowing something was terribly wrong. Thomas met him at the airport, his face pale. Mr. Pierce, the police found something. The rental car went off the mountain road. They found debris in the river. Nathan felt the ground disappear beneath him. They drove to the site. Police cars and rescue vehicles lined the road. A section of guardrail was completely destroyed. Tire tracks led straight over the edge into the churning river below. Detective Walsh, serious man with kind eyes, approached Nathan. Mr. Pierce, I'm very sorry. We've been searching since this morning. We found parts of the vehicle downstream. We're doing everything we can to locate your wife. She's alive, Nathan said. His voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. She has to be alive. The river current here is extremely strong, Walsh said gently. The water is very cold. Even if someone survived the initial crash, the chances of surviving in that water are very slim. Search harder, Nathan demanded. Bring more people. Use helicopters. I don't care what it costs. Find my wife. For 4 days, rescue teams searched. Divers went into the dark water and came back shaking their heads. Helicopters swept the river valley. Search dogs followed trails that ended at the water's edge and went nowhere else. They found pieces. A car door twisted beyond recognition. Sections of metal. One of Claire's shoes caught in branches 5 miles downstream, but no Claire. No body. Nathan stood on the riverbank and felt himself stop being human. He stopped sleeping. Stopped eating. He just searched. Walked the river for hours. Questioned every person he saw. Followed every possible lead. On the 5th day, Detective Walsh sat with him on the riverbank. Mr. Pierce, I need to be honest with you. If your wife went into that water, she could be miles away by now. We've searched as far as we can. At some point, we have to accept that we may never find her. You want me to give up? Nathan's voice was hollow. I want you to take care of yourself. You haven't slept in days. You're destroying yourself. My grief is all I have left of her. I won't give that up too. Nathan refused to leave New Zealand. He rented a room in a small village and spent every single day searching. Walking the riverbanks, talking to locals, investigating every possible clue. Thomas had disappeared. The driver left the lodge the day after Claire vanished, leaving no forwarding address. When Nathan tried to call him, the number was disconnected. When he asked his mother where Thomas had gone, she claimed she had no idea. Something about that felt wrong, but Nathan could not focus on it. All his energy went into finding Claire. False hopes and crushing reality. Week 2 brought devastating false hope. A woman's body was found downstream. Nathan had to go identify it. Had to look at a stranger's face and confirm it. It was not his wife. He felt both crushing relief and devastating disappointment. The villagers took pity on him. The woman who ran the local cafe brought him food he could not eat. The owner of the inn where he stayed stopped charging him. People would see him walking the riverbanks at all hours and call out encouragement that felt like knives in his skin. Mr. Pierce, you should rest. Mr. Pierce, you cannot search forever. You must accept reality. But Nathan could not accept. Would not accept. Claire was out there somewhere. She had to be. The alternative was unthinkable. His mother called constantly. First with false sympathy, then with impatience. Finally with open anger. Nathan, you've been there nearly a month. You need to come home. The company needs you. I don't care about the company. Don't be ridiculous. Your father built that company for you. You can't just abandon it because that woman drove off a cliff. The words hit Nathan like a physical blow. Don't ever call her that again. I'm sorry, darling. That was insensitive. But you must see reason. She's gone. You need to move on. I will never move on. Victoria's sigh was theatrical. Then rot in New Zealand if that's what you want. Don't expect me to support this obsession. She hung up. Nathan threw his phone into the river. Week 3 brought more fragments. A piece of cloth that might have been from Claire's jacket. A broken phone that turned out to belong to someone else. Each discovery felt like having his heart ripped out fresh. The police officially suspended the search. Detective Walsh delivered the news personally, his expression full of genuine regret. We've done everything we can. I'm sorry, but we cannot keep using resources when the chance of finding her alive is essentially zero. She's not dead, Nathan said. Like a prayer. Like a spell. I would know. I would feel it. Mr. Pierce, denial is part of grief. Get away from me. The cottage and the Linathan started searching alone. Every day from sunrise to sunset, he became a ghost in the village. The man who could not let go. The man who was destroying himself with hope. During the 4th week, he found a cottage upstream from where the car went over. An elderly couple lived there. Harold and Margaret Bennett. Nathan knocked on their door with a photograph of Claire in his trembling hand. Have you seen this woman? She went missing a month ago. Car accident. Please, if you've seen anything. Harold Bennett looked at the photograph for a long time. Too long. Nathan's heart began to race. Inside the cottage, Claire sat by the fire, wrapped in a quilt. She heard a man's voice at the door. Something about that voice made her chest ache in a way she could not explain. I'm sorry, Harold said finally. I have not seen her. Harold had seen her. She was inside his home right now. She had been there for weeks, recovering from injuries that had stolen her memory. The woman had no idea who she was. No idea that the man at the door was desperately searching for her. Harold made a choice in that moment. A choice he would question for years. The woman inside was fragile, still healing. This man looked half mad with grief. What if his arrival shocked her system? What if it made her condition worse? What if he was not who he claimed to be? Harold told himself he was protecting her. But really, he was afraid. Afraid of making the wrong decision. Afraid of the responsibility. If I see anything, I'll contact the police, Harold said, and closed the door. Nathan stood there for a long moment, feeling like something important had just slipped through his fingers. But he was so exhausted, so worn down by grief, that he could not push harder. He thanked the man and left inside. Claire sat by the fire and wondered why her heart hurt so badly. Why she felt like she had just lost something precious without knowing what it was. The unbearable. Returned by the end of the month, Nathan was a shell. He had lost so much weight, his clothes hung off his frame. His eyes were sunken and haunted. His hands shook constantly. Detective Walsh found him sitting by the river on the final day of the month, staring at the water as though it might give up its secrets. You need to go home. I can't leave her. She's not here. Whatever's left of your wife, it's not here anymore. You're killing yourself for nothing. It's not nothing. She was everything. Walsh sat beside him. I lost my wife 8 years ago to cancer. Grief like this will consume you if you let it. You have to choose to live. I don't know how to live without her. No one does at first. But you learn. Slowly, painfully, but you learn. Nathan looked at the man, at the kindness in his weathered face, and felt something break inside. He put his head in his hands and wept. Great gasping sobs that tore from his chest, like he was breaking apart from the inside. Walsh sat with him until the crying stopped. Until Nathan was empty and hollow and had nothing left to give. Come on, Walsh said gently. Let me drive you to the airport. Nathan let himself be led away from the river. Let himself be driven through the mountains one final time. Let himself board a plane that would take him back to a life that felt like someone else's, as new. Zealand disappeared beneath him. Nathan pressed his forehead to the window and whispered, I'm sorry, Claire. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. I should have never left you alone. He returned to a world that had kept moving while his had stopped. His company needed him. His mother wanted him to attend social functions. Everyone expected him to move forward. But Nathan was frozen in that moment on the riverbank. The moment he realized his wife was gone forever. The moment his heart stopped beating, even though his body kept living. He went through the motions of life, attended meetings, signed papers, smiled when required, but inside he was empty. A walking ghost. A man who had lost everything that mattered. And in a cottage in the New Zealand mountains, Claire lived as a woman named Anna. She had no memory of Nathan Pierce. No memory of their love. No memory of the life they had built together. But sometimes she would wake in the night with tears on her face. And sometimes she would touch the wedding ring. She still wore and feel an ache she could not explain to people who loved each other desperately. Separated by lies and circumstance and terrible choices. Both of them broken, both of them incomplete. Neither knowing that 10 years would pass before fate would give them one more chance. 9 years had passed since Claire Morrison became Anna Bennett. She lived in the cottage with Harold and Margaret, helping them as they grew older. She learned to bake bread, mend clothes, and tend the garden. She became part of the mountain, part of the quiet rhythm of life in the remote countryside, but she never stopped feeling incomplete. Anna touched her wedding ring constantly, turning it around and around on her finger. She knew it meant something important, knew it represented a love she could not remember. Sometimes she would catch herself whispering a name that felt like home, Nathan. She had no idea why that name mattered. No context to attach to it. But saying it out loud made her chest ache with longing. Margaret noticed how Anna would stand at the window for hours, staring at the road as though waiting for someone. How she would cry in her sleep and wake up not knowing why. How she carried sadness in her eyes that never quite disappeared. Do you think he's still looking for me? Anna asked one evening as they sat by the fire. Whoever I was before, do you think someone misses me? Margaret's hands stilled on her knitting. The guilt she carried had grown heavier with each passing year. Harold had made them promise never to tell Anna about the man who came looking. He convinced himself it was for her protection. But Margaret wondered if they had made a terrible mistake. I'm sure someone loved you very much, Margaret said carefully. The way you wear that ring, the way you say that name in your sleep, you were loved, dear. I'm certain of it. Anna touched the ring again. Then why didn't they find me? Why am I still here, alone, with no memory of who I was? Margaret had no answer. Only the weight of a secret that grew heavier every day. The magazine. That changed everything. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late summer when everything changed. Anna had gone to the village for supplies. She stopped at the small bookshop, browsing the magazine rack while waiting for the shopkeeper to wrap her purchases. A business magazine caught her eye. On the cover was a photograph of a man in a suit. Dark hair, strong jawline, kind eyes that looked tired and sad even as he smiled for the camera. Anna's hands began to shake. The headline read, Nathan Pierce to wed Olivia Winters. Tech mogul finally moves forward after a decade of tragedy. Anna stared at the photograph. Her vision tunneled. Her heart began to race so fast, she thought it might explode. She knew that face. She knew those eyes. She had dreamed them for 9 years. Nathan, she whispered, And suddenly, it was not just a name. It was everything. The memories did not flood back all at once. They came in waves, crashing over her one after another. The art gallery where they met. No, not an art gallery. A charity book fair. His smile when he first saw her. The rooftop picnic with candles and burned pasta. Dancing without music. The proposal in the rain. The wedding. Their vows. His mother's cold hatred. Switzerland. The phone call. The car that would not stop. The terror as she went over the edge. The cold water closing over her head. Nathan. Always Nathan. His voice. His touch. The way he looked at her like she was his entire world. Miss, are you all right? The shopkeeper appeared beside her. You look like you're going to faint. And I gripped the magazine. This man. Nathan Pierce. When is his wedding? The shopkeeper glanced at the cover. Oh, that's this Saturday. It's all anyone can talk about. Huge society wedding in the city. Why do you ask? I need to get there, Anna said, her voice shaking with urgency. I need to stop it. That's my husband. I'm Claire. I'm Claire Pierce, and I need to get to my husband before he marries someone else. The race against Tamana ran back to the cottage, bursting through the door with the magazine clutched in her hands. Harold and Margaret looked up from their afternoon tea, startled by her sudden entrance. Remember, Anna said, tears streaming down her face. I remember everything. My name is Claire Morrison Pierce. I've been missing for 9 years. My husband thinks I'm dead, and he's getting married this Saturday to someone else. I have to stop it. I have to get to him. Harold's face went pale. The secret he had kept for 9 years suddenly felt crushing. Claire, I need to tell you something. 9 years ago, a man came here. He had your photograph. He was looking for you. He asked if I had seen you. Claire's legs nearly gave out. What did you tell him? I lied. Harold's voice broke. I told him I hadn't seen you. You were so fragile, still recovering. I thought I was protecting you. I thought you sent him away. Claire's voice was barely a whisper. He was here, looking for me, and you sent him away? I'm sorry, Harold said, tears in his eyes. I made a terrible choice. I've regretted it every day since. Margaret stood and took Claire's hands. We can't change the past, dear, but we can help you now. The wedding is in 3 days. If we leave immediately, you can get there in time. Claire looked at the elderly couple who had saved her life and cared for her for 9 years. She was angry at the lie, devastated by the lost time. But she also understood that Harold had made a choice based on fear and concern, however misguided. Help me get there, Claire said. Please, help me get to Nathan before it's too late. They packed quickly. Harold drove them to the nearest city where Claire could catch a flight. They emptied their savings to buy her a plane ticket. Margaret gave her a dress to wear and fixed her hair. You go get your husband back, Margaret said, hugging Claire tightly. You go show him that love doesn't die, even when everything else seems lost. Claire boarded the plane with her heart hammering. 9 years. She had been gone for 9 years. Would Nathan even recognize her? Would he still love her? Or had too much time passed? She touched her wedding ring and remembered his vows. I promise to love you through everything for as long as I breathe. You are my home, Claire. You will always be my home. She had to believe those words still meant something. She had to believe their love was strong enough to survive even this. The wedding, Nathan Pierce stood in front of the mirror in his dressing room, adjusting his tie for the 5th time. His best friend and business partner, Robert Chen, watched him with concern. You don't have to do this, Robert said quietly. It's not too late to call it off. Yes, it is. Nathan's voice was flat. I made a commitment to Olivia. She's a good woman. She deserves better than being left at the altar. But you don't love her. Nathan met Robert's eyes in the mirror. I will never love anyone the way I loved Claire. That part of me died 9 years ago. But I can't spend the rest of my life alone, mourning someone who's gone. My mother is right about that, at least. It's time to move forward. Robert shook his head. Your mother has been pushing for this marriage since the day she introduced you to Olivia. Don't you find that suspicious? What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that your mother got exactly what she wanted when Claire disappeared. and now she's getting what she wants again. Nathan's jaw tightened. Claire's death was an accident. A terrible accident. My mother had nothing to do with it, didn't she? She faked a heart attack to get you away from Claire. Who's to say she didn't arrange more than that? That's enough. Nathan's voice was sharp. I won't have you speaking about my mother that way. Not today. Robert raised his hands in surrender. Fine, but know this, Nathan. You're making a mistake. Marrying Olivia won't fill the hole Claire left. It will just make you more miserable. Then I'll be miserable. At least I'll be doing what's expected of me. The wedding ceremony was held at the Grand Cathedral, a massive stone building that could hold 1,000 guests. Victoria Pierce had spared no expense. White roses filled every corner. A string quartet played classical music. Society's elite filled the pews, dressed in their finest. Olivia Winters stood in the bride's preparation room, looking beautiful in her designer gown. She was elegant, sophisticated, everything a Pierce family bride should be. But even she knew the truth. Doesn't love me, she said to her maid of honor. He's never loved me. He's marrying me because it's what his mother wants. Because he's given up on being happy. Then why are you going through with it? Her friend asked. Olivia looked at herself in the mirror. Because I've loved Nathan Pierce since the day I met him. And I'm hoping that maybe, someday, he'll learn to love me back. Even if it's just a fraction of what he felt for her. The ceremony was about to begin. Nathan stood at the altar, his hands clasped in front of him. He looked handsome and composed. Only those who knew him well could see the emptiness in his eyes. Victoria Pierce sat in the front row, her face radiant with satisfaction. Everything had worked out exactly as she planned. That common little teacher was gone forever. Nathan was marrying a woman from the right kind of family. A woman Victoria had handpicked. A woman who would never challenge her authority. The string quartet began playing the processional music. The guests stood. The doors at the back of the cathedral opened. Love's return, Claire burst through the doors, breathing hard from running. She had arrived at the cathedral moments ago, her flight delayed by weather. She had no invitation, no right to be there. But she was there anyway, her heart pounding, her eyes searching desperately. And then she saw him. Nathan stood at the altar, looking toward the back of the cathedral as Olivia prepared to walk down the aisle. But his eyes landed on Claire instead. The world stopped. Nathan's face went white. His knees nearly buckled. He gripped the altar rail to keep from falling. His mouth moved, forming a word he had not spoken in 9 years. Claire. Every head in the cathedral turned. 1,000 gasps filled the air. Olivia froze in the doorway, her bouquet dropping from her hands. Victoria Pierce stood up, her face twisted with rage and disbelief. No, this is impossible. You're dead. You're supposed to be dead. But Claire was not dead. She was walking down the aisle, her eyes locked on Nathan's. Tears streamed down her face. Her legs shook with every step. But she kept moving toward him. I'm sorry I'm late, Claire said, her voice breaking. I got a little lost for 9 years. But I found my way back. I found my way back to you. Nathan could not move, could not breathe, could not process what he was seeing. This was impossible. This was a dream. This was a hallucination brought on by stress and the desperate longing. He had never been able to shake, but then Claire reached him. She took his hands in hers. And he felt her warmth, felt her pulse, felt her realness. You're alive, Nathan whispered. You're alive. How are you alive? I survived the crash, Claire said, but I lost my memory. I've been living in a cottage in the mountains, not knowing who I was, until 3 days ago when I saw your photograph in a magazine. Everything came back. Every moment. Every memory. Every second of loving you. Nathan's hands cupped her face. His thumbs wiped away her tears. I searched for you. For months. I never stopped looking. I know. I know you did. And I'm here now. I'm here, Nathan. I'm home. They stood there, foreheads pressed together, the entire cathedral watching in stunned silence. 9 years of grief and loss and emptiness collapsed between them. I still love you, Nathan whispered. I never stopped. Not for a single moment. I love you, Claire said. Even when I couldn't remember your name, my heart remembered you. It always knew where home was. Victoria Pierce's scream shattered the moment. No, I won't allow this. You ruined everything before, and I won't let you ruin it again. She rushed toward them, but Robert Chen stepped into her path. That's enough, Victoria. It's over. Get out of my way, Victoria hissed. That woman doesn't belong here. She doesn't belong in this family. I made sure she was gone, and she needs to stay gone. The words hung in the air. The entire cathedral heard them. The confession no one was supposed to hear. Nathan turned slowly to face his mother. What did you just say? Victoria's face went pale as she realized her mistake. I didn't mean you made sure she was gone, Nathan repeated, his voice deadly quiet. You arranged it. The fake heart attack. Sending me away. What else did you arrange, Mother? What else did you do? I did it for you, Victoria said desperately. That woman was beneath you. She would have held you back. I was protecting you. I was protecting this family. You murdered her, Nathan said. Or tried to. You arranged her death. I gave Thomas instructions to scare her, Victoria said. To make her want to leave? But he took it too far. He cut the brake lines. That wasn't supposed to happen. I just wanted her gone, not dead. The confession echoed through the cathedral. Police officers who had been working security moved forward. Detective Walsh, who had attended the wedding as a guest after becoming friends with Nathan over the years, placed handcuffs on Victoria Pierce's wrists. Victoria Pierce, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, Walsh said. You have the right to remain silent. Victoria screamed and struggled, but the officers led her away. The grand society wedding she had planned so carefully ended with her being arrested in front of everyone she had ever tried to impress. The new beginning. The cathedral emptied quickly. Olivia Winters approached Nathan and Claire with grace and dignity. I'm happy for you, she said sincerely. You deserve this. You deserve each other. I'm sorry, Nathan said. Olivia shook her head. Don't be. I always knew your heart belonged to someone else. I'm glad she came back to claim it. She walked away, leaving Nathan and Claire alone in the empty cathedral. We lost 9 years, Claire said softly. 9 years we can never get back. Then we'll make the next 90 count, Nathan said. Every single day. Every moment. I'm never letting you out of my sight again. Promise me something, Claire said, echoing the words she had spoken the night before their honeymoon. Promise me you'll remember this feeling. This moment, when we found each other again. I promise, Nathan said. And I promise to love you through everything, for as long as I breathe. You are my home, Claire. You will always be my home. They renewed their vows that evening in a small ceremony with only Robert Chen and a few close friends present. No elaborate decorations. No society guests. Just two people who had fought their way back to each other against impossible odds, as they danced together for the first time in 9 years. Nathan held Claire close and understood what miracle really meant. Not the absence of tragedy, not the prevention of loss, but the stubborn, persistent, impossible return of love when everything said it should be dead. Thank you for finding me, Nathan whispered against her hair. Thank you for being worth finding, Claire replied. They built a new life together. A life based on the understanding that every moment was precious, every day was a gift. They never took each other for granted again. Victoria Pierce was convicted and sentenced to prison. Thomas was found and arrested as an accomplice. Justice was served, though it could never return the 9 years that were stolen. But Nathan and Claire refused to let those lost years define them. They chose to focus on the years ahead. They had children. They grew old together. They loved fiercely and completely, and every year on their anniversary, they would return to that cathedral. They would stand in the spot where they found each other again. And they would remember that love, real love, survives everything. Even death, even time. Even the cruelest attempts to destroy it, because some connections are written into the soul. And nothing, not distance or loss, or even years of forgetting, can erase what was always meant to be. 10 years of heartbreak ended the moment Claire walked through those cathedral doors. And the rest of their lives began with a single truth they both understood completely. They were home. Finally, impossibly, miraculously home.